Good evening, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good night, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news this late Saturday night. And it looks like Elon Musk is making all of the right enemies as he continues to purge Twitter of things that are illegal, things like child porn, for example, and exploiting children, for another example. And that all tends to fall into the camp of Antifa. That's right, Anti-Foot, the leftist group out there who continue to run under the banner of anti-fascism, when they truly are not anti-fascist. They are the most fascist type of individuals out there who sit there and they find joy in exploiting children, taking them to the drag queen performances, and allowing parents or deranged parents to sit there and subject their kids to that type of behavior as grown men dressed as women sit there and booty shake in front have small kids while they're scantily clad. That is what Antifa is all about these days, and has been for the longest time. Well, Elon has now started to purge the space on Twitter of Antifa. And that's a great thing, but Antifa, of course, as they are very violent, petulant children that they are now lashing out and threatening to burn down his Tesla dealerships. Yeah. So much for fast anti-fascists, right? So let's go and dive into what we have here. It says Antifa just got one hell of a big surprise on Twitter and they're looking for revenge. That's right. Yeah. These guys over here. Oh my gosh. I can't stand them. It says Newsweek reported that in the last complaints from Twitter users under Elon Musk's leadership, the CEO is being accused of banning anti-fascist accounts, while previously suspended conservative users are being reinstated. Steve Mancinelli, an independent journalist, reported on Tuesday that a group, L Fort John Brown Gun Club, a leftist group based in Texas to volunteers at Arm Protection for the LGPDWXYZ events, has been suspended after breaking Twitter content rules. According to the screenshot, posted by Monster Lady, the group was suspended for violating the platform's rules against hateful conduct, citing two recent tweets from the club on Wednesday. Clinical instructor at Harvard School of Cyber Law Clinic I Love There Alejandra Carballo reported that Chad Lawler, an outspoken anti-left fascist from Los Angeles, California, has also been suspended. Loader had reportedly been keeping track of anti-fascists who had recently been banned from the platform. According to the screenshot posted by Mike Lee, a writer at The Intercept, Mancinelli posted that he had reached out to Loader to ask if he had received a suspension report from Twitter explain why his account had been banned. Loader reportedly said he had not yet to receive one. The recent suspensions have led an outcry against Musk's new Twitter content rules, which is the same for everybody. But the left always seem to get away with everything that is on there, and conservatives were punished for not even reaching to the levels that the leftist played by. The CEO has recently restated accounts that were previously banned on a platform for spreading hate speech and misinformation, specifically reinstating two accounts last week that were banned for transphobic tweets. On Tuesday, Musk reported a tweet from Kyle Becker, a former writer for Fox News, on how some users have accused a billionaire of being a right-wing boogeyman in light of reinstating conservative politicians including Georgia Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and former President Donald Trump. Musk responded that it was obvious that there has not been one permit ban, or even the most far-left accounts spouting under lies. You can't blame Elon for cracking down on violent radical groups. After all, they're now threatening violence against Tesla. That's right. So, according to Andy No Here, violence extremists Antifa collective Cinemadec has been suspended at the moment. The international group operates like ISIS, makes propaganda training material to radicalize militants toward violence. The main account was suspended. They operate with dozen other accounts, as revenge for Elon Musk suspending the violent extremists' accounts on Twitter. Antifa in Portland are organizing arson attacks on Tesla locations tonight. This is just a drop in the ocean of yours violent organs organizing on Twitter, that's right. So they are going to start to So breaking authorities say standoff next to Tesla dealership in Linwood, Washington ended peacefully after a man barricades himself any body shop. Too early to say if it was related to Antifa threats targeting Elon Musk his dealership. And of course these losers will sit there, and they will attempt to try to burn down Tesla dealerships, and then they will play victim. When Elon Musk's private security takes them down, and they're not so kind to them like the cops would be in those areas. This is the time that we continue to fight back in the cyberspace, and continue to get rid of these individuals one by eliminated counsel like Elon is currently doing, and they are absolutely freaking out about it. Because they've been able to run roughshod all they wanted on Twitter for the longest time, without any real pushback. And now that there's actual consequences for what they're posting, they're now acting out violently. You would think that the Congress would want to look into Antifa, who they claim once again, does not exist. They have no idea what Antifa is, even though there's 1,000s and 1,000s hours of video of them assaulting people, killing people, and of course burning down cities, but none of that. They don't exist according to the far left, because those are their foot soldiers. Anyway, continue to good work, Elon. Okay, some significant news. Second death. This one is a follow-up. If you recall, I had talked about attorney John Mayer Ngolo, who died last week. Suddenly, he was the attorney who represented Tim Shea in the Build a Wall case, in which they won the first case. And also I talked about how he was a thorn in the side of prosecutors. He was very good at going up against the government. Well, this is an update. It turns out that not only did he represent some Shade, who won his first case, the government had to come back together and get them on the second one. But it's now being revealed that he was asked to work on President Trump's case. Isn't that interesting? Gilly News is reporting attorney John Moringa Lowe was scheduled to federal court with Tony Shea in the We Build the Wall crowdfunding case against him in late October. The same day Chase retrial starts, the Trump Organization and Trump Payroll Corp are slated to go on trial across the street in Manhattan. So this is about 3 weeks ago. In Manhattan Supreme Court on tax fraud charges. In that case, prosecutors to the company engaged in a 15-year tax evasion scheme that hid in millions in tax. Ngolo said lawyers for Trump's family real estate business asked him to help defend the case against the recent guilty plea of Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg. The company's veteran bookkeeper had agreed to testify against his former employer for less prison time. Turns out he testified that the Trumps had no idea what was going on. That is why people like rich people they hire people to do things for them. They're not in every single detail to every single thing that goes on an organization. That's impossible. There's not enough time and talent for one person to know everything from operations to finance to taxes to legal. That's why there's a legal team, a tax team, the accounting team. That's why you have a CFO, a CFA, CEO, a CO, operations officer. Okay. Usually people are in charge of human resources and things like that. The CEO has an overview of what's going on and gives a general direction, leads the company, but he's not in the minutiae of all the tiny details of running an organization, probably not things complicated, for the most part, unless they are some sort of financial wizard. In all the tax and legal things, it's just not how it works. As much as the left would have people think that Trump was in every single detail in every single scheme and scam was his brainchild. The company's veteran. In a flurry of correspondence filed over the past 2 weeks, Ngolo had tried to bend the court schedule so he can represent both cases, telling the presiding judges he's the best man for the job. What it turns out was that they said that his request was bizarre because he was an 11th hour arrival and they didn't let him go forward, as this is now coming out that the courts blocked him from representing Trump. And then, of course, he has this untimely sudden death. Despite an article indicating that it was unusual for the state to make arrangements for Mr. Ngolo's schedule. This, in fact, happens all the time. But the judges hated Ngolo and wouldn't allow his requests, and now the man is dead. Okay, here's my third story of a person who is deceased. This one is one of those instant crazy karmas. Now, I'm not saying I wish death upon anyone. Don't get me wrong. It's just very strange how this happened and who had happened to ours before the Council and the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. voted to pass their controversial criminal code reform. A criminal justice policy advocate who helped pass the bill was shot and killed by a carjacker. Can't make this crap up, folks. Washington Post reporting that Kelvin Blow, 32, was shot dead after a car crash just before 5:30 a.m. a couple days before Thanksgiving. He's a Blow is a member of the D.C. Justice Lab, an organization that advocates for criminal justice reform in D.C. his criminal legal system. On the same day, the City Council unanimously approved a bill he supported that reduced penalties for criminal offenses like robbery, burglary, carjacking, and firearm possession without a license as the day that he died. So details are a little sketchy, but Town Hall's reporting that this is how it went down. That first of all, below, HUD spent over 5 years in prison for robbery. He was a Marine Corps veteran who was diagnosed with PTSD and was working as a security guard and was taking coworkers home last week when he was shot and killed when a gunman emerged from a stolen car after a crash with Blow. Authorities said they believe Blow possessed a weapon as it recovered a gun next to his body. But his family was not aware that he had a weapon. Of course, this is a guy that was advocating for reduced sentences and leniency for people that had a gun illegally. Now first of all, folks, don't misinterpret my saying, reporting this because I am a Second Amendment. I believe in honoring the Second Amendment in our Constitution, which says shall not be infringed upon. I personally don't think that you need to have a permit to protect yourself and to conceal carry. Alright, and there's 20-some odd states now that have concealed carry, or what's called constitutional carry laws. So obviously, I'm not the only one in this thought, which is very strange that I would see this in my lifetime because we were moving because I was jaded because I lived in California for so long. It seemed like more states were adding more restrictions to our Second Amendment, not less. And so pretty much my whole life I've been pretty pro to it, and this has come as a surprise. So I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with this man, especially living in DC being strapped, as you say in hip-hop vernacular. Just strange that he would be a victim of the same things that he was advocating according to some after this crash took place. So this man had robbed his car, got in an accident, Blow got out and approached the car and was shot. They don't know if Blows had pointed a gun at the man. They don't know what happened. But the suspect has fled and he's yet to be found. And the investigation is ongoing. There's no arrests and they have no suspects. Man, that karma is a beast. The same day leniency, he becomes a victim most likely of leniency. I'm sure we find the guy will find out just like Mr. Blow that he's got a rap sheet. Okay, folks, this is really perturbing to me. What is going on here? Over 70% of children aged 7 years old to 12 years old. So why would that be? Second graders to 7th graders more or less are afraid of climate change. Okay. More than 70% of children aged 7 to 12 are now afraid of climate change. According to results of a survey, more than 7 in 10 children are now worried about climate change. That comes amid reports from various experts that children and teenagers of various demographics are experiencing high rates of mental health difficulties, with one school counselor saying that anxiety rates have hit an all-time high post-lockdown. Of course it is. You telling kids that there is a pandemic out, they can't do anything. They can't talk to their friends, they can't go to school, they're isolated. Oh, and by the way, the world is going to end before you're an adult, because of climate change. Everything is climate change. You got a paper cut, that was probably climate change. A guy goes in and shoots up a school of children in Texas, climate change. Illegal immigration coming in causing crime in Europe and the United States. Climate change. Those are climate refugees, of course. Okay. So the survey, this took place in Europe by Euronews, polled children born between 2010 and 2015. On their views, and this is what they found. Similar polls have found similar results in the United States, but not to the degree in Europe. I showed our conversation we have with Christian Age, a guy spreading truth to in front of the Reichstag over in Berlin. And there was a group of young adults, I would say, between 16 and 2010. He was preaching to, if you will, about the medical lies that we've been subjected to the last 2 years. And when we were done, we spoke to Christian, who spoke English roughly, but we could understand them. He spoke fairly well. And he said that the children are so brainwashed in Germany and throughout Europe, that they really do believe what the state tells them. It seems to be more so than in the United States. But they are really trying to go after our children, and it is backfiring once a week, once again. Get woke, go broke, rears its ugly head, or I should say its karma head. Disney's latest animated feature, Strange World, just tanked at the box office. I think I saw maybe one preview for this was even aware of it. Even though they spent, according to this, about $50 to $100 million in promotion. We're even aware that Disney had a new movie called Strange World. I think I saw it last year, like a teaser. But anyway, the movie is a scare tactic to scare children about the environment. No one wants to waste their Thanksgiving weekend having their children prematurely groomed. And the reason why is because there is an openly non-hetero teen character in the movie. And of course, The movie has to do with some sort of climate crisis where they need to shave a plant or their whole world is going to die. The movie, I love this. They spent anywhere from $150 million to $180 million to produce, which I think is a lot of money for an added minute feature. And then they spend another $50 to $100 million in promotion. So let's say they spent about $200 to $250 million on this movie. It's expected in its biggest weekend to make just $15.8 million or 10%. Go broke. Go get woke, go broke. People are tired of this. Now let me contrast this what's going on in Russia. Putin is expected to sign what the Russian parliament just passed yesterday on Thanksgiving. And it effectively outlaws any public demonstration of an alphabet rainbow people lifestyle and behavior and a ban on its propaganda. And it criminalizes any attempt to promote non-traditional sexual relations in movies, online advertisement, or in public. And it's an amendment to legislation that they had passed 9 years ago, which barred that from that sort of promotion among minors. Okay. So it's first among minors and now they're making it the university by using it to all citizens of Russia. So that's very interesting. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. If you're up for it, I'm gonna get back to work.